Well, hi there, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Tech Talk. Today, we're going to be diving into the anatomy of a sales event. So exciting, right? Yay! So, it's really important when we're looking at the sales event that you understand it, right? There's where we actually have a workbook. It's pretty rad, including a Miro and a walkthrough, so that you understand what what is required of you to put together a successful sales event. So, for starters, let's take a look at the overall thing, right? The first thing we want to look at is which sales event type is right for you, right? So, are you doing one-on-one sales calls? Are you doing a master class? Are you doing a webinar? There's a lot of different types of sales events that you can go between, and it's important that you know which one is right for you. So, let's talk about the differences of them. So if you're looking at doing sales calls, individual sales calls, right? You would either have yourself or a setter or community manager booking sales calls for you, right? So in your Facebook group, you would be, messaging people, be part of your process, and you would ask them if they want to book a call. You could send them to your book a call funnel. And from there, they would book their call. And on your thank you page, you could offer them something, right? You always want to make sure you have some sort of additional offer. From there, you could, if you're ready to move into one-to-many sales, you could do a masterclass or a webinar. The differences between a masterclass and a webinar is that a masterclass, you would actually be broadcasting to your group, right? And this is beneficial for a lot of reasons. And you can stream it to your group. So the replay is right in your group. So if someone ever wants to catch the replay, you're redirecting them back to content in your group, right? And that's going to be really beneficial to increase engagement. If someone who's not in your group wants to get your training, then you can send them the permalink and they got to answer your member request questions to be able to get access to your training, right? And if you're using Group Track, then you can automatically add them into your marketing system and it works wonderfully. Now, if maybe you don't have a Facebook group yet, or you're not really sure the best place to put it, you can always do a webinar, right? And so there's a lot of different things you could do with that. If you have a fancy Zoom account, you can do a webinar. Or if you're using Nerdly or another marketing system, what you would want to do is, and we'll walk through that. And the biggest difference is that on that one, you would either be having people show up to your Zoom, or you would be streaming it from your Zoom in through a window to your broadcast funnel. All right. So let's look at this. So I have the handy dandy Miro board to share with y'all. So the big things is you want to look at, and let me make sure that we are seeing this. Make this the biggest I can. Yeah, perfect. Okay. So here we have preparing, right? So you need to make sure that you nail your content, right? You got to actually speak to the problems that you are going to solve and how you're going to get them the solution, right? That's super important. And then advertising, right? So we have the three main steps. You have preparing for the event, the main event, and following up. And that's the same whether it's a webinar, a funnel, a masterclass, or a live event. You have to have all these pieces in place. So preparing, we're nailing our content. Then we've got to advertise, right? So you got to promote your event to your audience and see if you can get in front of other audiences as well, right? That is super important. If your audience doesn't know when the event is or what the event is or what they're going to get out of it, they're not going to show up, right? Then having a registration. So having an opt-in registration form to ensure you capture people's information so you can follow up with them later. And the great thing here is you can leverage automations to add them to your pipeline so you can track their progress in your process, right? So you know whether they've just registered or registered and attended, registered, attended, and were like how much of it they watched. There's a lot of different pieces here you can leverage automation on, right? And reminders. Show of hands here. How many times do you need to be reminded? Yes. If you have an event with no invites, does not in fact get butts in the seats. That is a true fact. You have to remind people that your event is happening, right? And I'm serious, like 3 days before, 2 days before, the day of, send them a text, send them a DM, send them an email. There's a lot of different modes of communication. And you got to figure out which way is right and make sure, A, you don't want to overwhelm people with reminders, but is there anything you need to tell them to be prepared for the event? Are you delivering a workbook to them, right? So we have a workbook, which you can claim if you comment hashtag workbook, we'll deliver that right on over to you. And that's going to actually take you through this step by step and have places that you can fill out, right? Because as much as I love my automations and I love technology, there is a lot of power behind taking pen to paper and actually writing stuff out. Now, I'm probably going to just write it in a PDF and edit it online because that's who I am and how I work. And also, I'll lose the paper. So then we come to the main event, right? So you need a way to track who attends. Because if you don't track who attends, you have no idea who is actually there, who participated, who showed up. And you need to know that information so that you can target your follow up. If someone registered but didn't actually attend or watch, that you want a different follow up than if they actually attended. Yes. Elizabeth, I love this. I get lots of thanks for sending the reminders I send, and it's all automated. That is so true. It is really important that you actually have all that done and that you automate it, right? Reminders are key. Look at that. Okay, you go over there. I don't want to go over my face. All right. So next, we're going to, because when you track them, if you're using Nerdly or High Level, you can host your videos on the funnel and track the duration each viewer watches. So that is a really great tool that you can use if you're using that system. If not, just stream it to your Facebook group and engage. Hey, by the way, if you guys are watching live, comment live. This way, I know you watched this. That's another way you can track who is watching your video. And also, if you comment your favorite nugget you're getting from this training, maybe I'll even give away a fabulous one-on-one time with me to totally nerd out about your tech. Yeah, video tracking is totally a thing. And that is totally seriously helpful to know how long they engaged. And if they didn't watch it all the way through, then you want to follow up with them and remind them and engage them to watch that training. All right. Oh, and hey, if you haven't already, if you're commenting, click the link in the description, and then I'll actually be able to see who you are while we're live. How cool is that? Whereas if someone watched the whole training, well, you want to make sure you're following up and asking for the sale, right? We'll get to that in a bit. So next, we want to offer a freebie. Not everybody is going to be ready to buy. You need to have something to offer them to keep them engaged and interacting with your content, right? So here we're offering a workbook so that you can take that knowledge, what we're talking about here, and you can rewatch this training and you have this workbook that you can work through and map out what is your sales process, right? What is your sales conversion event going to be? And how is that automation? How is that all that flow going to happen? Right? And that's really important. You got to have all of this mapped out before your event, because after your event, like all these automations need to be flowing. It's just not realistic to expect you to manually follow up with every single person and be able to grow your business to where you want it to be, right? So here's the money maker over here, the follow up, right? You want to make sure that you have a reach out, right? Did they attend? Follow up with them. Thank them for attending, right? We want to make sure people feel appreciated and that they're seen as a human and that you acknowledge that they attended, right? If they only came to part of your training, then maybe you want to remind them, hey, there's a lot of juicy nuggets in here. Then we want to make sure we follow up with them, right? So it's going to be, ooh, look at this. I even have a template thank you message so I can just tweak as needed. That is awesome. That's so useful because then no matter what training you're doing or what you want to thank them for attending, you have that message template ready to go. And it can really streamline and make your follow-up process a lot easier. Next, we want to leverage automations. So you can lean into tags and custom fields and automations to track the leads, who buys, who watched, and those who need more time. This way you can automatically remove a new customer from getting your sales email sequence and get them started on a new customer sequence. Right? And if that's a little overwhelming for you, that's okay. Everybody starts at a different place, and we're here to hold your hand through this process. I know it can be overwhelming, but that's what we're here for. Take it through step by step. And then we want to get feedback. Ask people what they liked or they didn't like about the event so you can tweak it and make it even better moving forward. You can check on your funnel stats to see how much of a pre-recorded video was watched on average. You can also see if you're streaming to Facebook, see how long comments are going, right? So I want to know from you guys, what is your sales event? Do you do webinars? Do you do a masterclass to your Facebook group? Do you do live events? Do you have just a sales funnel? What are you guys using? So let me know in the comments, what is your sales conversion event? What is your sales strategy and what are you using? And then we can create additional trainings throughout the month because this month we're really focused in on the sales event. We want to make sure that you guys are empowered and ready to take this all to the next level. So remember, when we're talking about a sales event, there's so much more than the actual event itself that we're talking about, right? We want to make sure that we're capturing their information and that we're able to track what they're watching, right? So whether it's them commenting on your video, whether it's them watching the video in a hosted format, or them physically showing up to a live event, right? All of those things are data points you need to know so that you can actually follow up with them appropriately. Then obviously you need to make sure you can nail your content. Super important that the content you deliver actually serves them and helps them move the needle forward, right? If the content's not actually helping them, then you're not actually delivering what you think you're delivering, right? So then you got to make sure that you have some sort of a freebie, right? Get something so that they can keep engaging with your content, something that if they're not ready to dive in with you, is there something that you can give them that can help them learn a little bit more, right? And then make sure you have your follow-up nailed. The reach out, the automations, getting feedback, all of that. Because if you have to be personally responsible for every single person to get a follow-up message individually, is that realistic? Probably not, right? So if you're interested in learning about Nerdly and how we can totally take that all off your hands and help you manage it all, we can help you with that. You can also take this workbook and use it for any platform you're using, right? The anatomy of a sales event is really universal. So again, just so you guys can see this again, I'll show you this. Yes, free is good. It captures the attention, right? That's why we offer a workbook with our training, because we want to make sure that you're actually able to take this knowledge and execute it with your own sales process. So if you comment hashtag workbook, you're going to get the workbook, which includes a copy of our Miro board, and we'll even walk you through the different steps. I'm trying to keep these trainings nice and short. So with that, if you guys have any questions, just leave it in the comments, and me and the Nerd Herd will get back to you as soon as we can. And have an awesome day, guys. Catch you later. See you. I'll see you at your next sales event.